You hit the spot on what we needed to hear.
Bell Mobility.
Maybe you've done this, like then I would actually come home and tell my wife that's who I saw.
Love your energy, Hugh. Inspirational and humorous.
RCMP.
I was with a colleague the other day in Richmond. I said, Matt, how's it going? He said, hair straight back. And Matt doesn't have a lot of hair. Hair straight back, he said. And I remember before that it was warp 7.
Hugh took the time to personalize his message so it made sense for our audience.
University of British Columbia.
Accurate thinking is a great way to get real about a situation.
Your energy, passion, key messages, and flexibility made it a success.
Tell us.
So when my wife Kirsten and I first moved to Kelowna, we lived about 18 minutes outside of town on the south end of Lakeshore. And sometimes when I was driving to work, I would get behind this guy driving a Porsche. How many of you own a Porsche? So a beautiful Carrera, and I don't know the different models, but I knew it was a Carrera. I knew it was really expensive, and it was gorgeous. I mean, it was wide. The tires were huge. And as I'm driving behind him, I'm thinking to myself, man, if I took all 4 of my Subaru tires and lined them up, one of his was wider than all 4 of mine. And the paint on it was this deep blue, you know, Porsche paint is a gorgeous, like it's like 25 layers of lacquer. It's not like Lada blue, it's Porsche blue. And this is the feature I love the best. Here's this feature, is that when he accelerated, a spoiler would come out of nowhere, right in the back of the car. The spoiler would appear, and as we're going through the school zone, it would just grip him to the road, and then when he slowed down, it would disappear again. Like, this is an amazing car. And I'm following him to work, and I'm thinking to myself, man, tires like that on the back of my Subaru, a spoiler going up and down, that would look so cool. But here's my question. As I'm watching this guy drive this car, what do you think I am making up about the kind of guy that would drive that car? What am I thinking? Rich, that's generous. Do you know what the first thing that came to mind was? Short. And then it went from there. I just started making up stories. So first of all, it was short and illegal. Like, what is he doing that's illegal? So I'm thinking, okay, nobody that works hard like me buys a car like that, because we drive what? Subarus. So what is it? He's in Kelowna. What is it that's illegal? Okay, it's got to be one of 2 things. It's got to be either drugs or real estate. No, both. That's it. He sells drug houses. Okay, so it's a short realtor selling drug houses. And maybe you've done this. Like, then I would actually come home and tell my wife that's who I saw. Oh yeah, I saw that short realtor again. You know, the guy with the Porsche, as if I know him. And then one day, an amazing miracle happens. And I'm going home on my mountain bike, and I come to this 4-way intersection. I stop, and I'm waiting for the traffic to clear. And I look across. There is Mr. Porsche. Spoiler down. An amazing moment happens. We're both waiting, and I look across, and he looks across at exactly the same moment, and we make eye contact. And he gives me one of those, well, we are like this. Like, I am thinking, I mean, what a nice guy. He gave me the Porsche wave thing there, I think. And suddenly I am thinking, maybe we know a lot of the same people. You know, we have a lot in common. So I'm thinking maybe he'll have me over for a barbecue this weekend and, you know, lend me the keys. Like, so have you ever done this? It's like you make up this whole story, right? And then you actually meet the person, or you have this interaction, and suddenly it completely changes. I want to share with you why I also think this talk is so important, is because of our busy lifestyle. When I was in the adventure travel business, we used to have an office on Granville Island, and we had all sorts of staff and guides, and we had all sorts of trips going on, and we had also the Island Roamer, which was the largest ecotourism sailboat in Western Canada, and you know, we had a lot of stuff going on, and people would come up and say, Hugh, how's it going? And my response was, busy. And then they say, no, really. I'd say, really busy. You see, I used to equate that to success. And by the way, what I discovered was that makes for a very short conversation. I was with a colleague the other day in Richmond. I said, Matt, how's it going? He said, hair straight back. And Matt doesn't have a lot of hair. Hair straight back, he said. And I remember before that it was warp 7. Like, can you imagine going to work saying to yourself, well, honey, I'm just going to warp 7? It's because we need this new kind of leadership, authentic leadership. See, I think that what's happened is we've had this sort of a problem over the last 10 years in terms of leadership. And I mean by leaders, we're all leaders here. Because you're serving people, that makes you a leader. And I think the problem we've had with leadership in the last 10 years is we've seen leaders abuse their power. And so there's this sort of fatigue out there. And I think there's a fatigue with our clients in terms of who's keeping promises that they're going to do what for us. And there's a fatigue in terms of how we work with our vendors. And there's a fatigue in terms of how we are seen as a leader. Because we've seen all these Tycos and MCIs and WorldComs and now Fannie Mae and Bernie Mac and now AIG. And we've seen leadership be abused. And I think we need authentic leadership, which is just simply human leadership. So I think we also need to get back to the small stuff, which is about, let's get back to our values when we're working with people. I think that that's what people are really looking for. At the end of the day, they don't know technically what you did for them, but they definitely know how they were treated. The greatest feedback that I've ever gotten is from clients that tell me that they love the blend of humor and content. What I want is that the audience is saying to themselves, this is good, this is meaningful to me, I can use this. And at the same time, I want them to enjoy themselves. I mean, if they're not having a good time, then they're not going to be learning. And if they're not learning, then really I'm not making a difference. What I try to do is find out really what is going on in the industry, and in particular what's going on with this client group. And I telephone and interview delegates, and I talk to the conference organizers, and really give a lot of thought to how can I be relevant? And not only that, how can I be relevant in the first 3 minutes? And to me, at the end of the day, I want to be able to go up to each delegate and be able to ask them, so what's one thing? So what's the one thing that you're going to do differently? And that they should be able to tell me something that's specific and that's meaningful and relevant to them. To me, that's the greatest payoff of all. 3, 2, 1, go!